Last session we discussed. Let me give give me quick overview. In the last session, we discussed about important Java features and environment and the main important entities in Java language, and basic rules that we have to keep in mind while writing Java program. And we discussed about what is identifier, and we discussed about various types of data types and comments, and we discussed this topic also: data type conversions, automatic conversion and casting, and automatic data type promotion. These 3 points we discussed, and we have seen.
Promotion, sir.
Yeah,
Promotion.
let's go in. Promotion means yesterday we discussed, right, in the expression. In any expression, if there are multiple more than one variable, and one variable is, for example, byte, another variable is integer, then automatically all variables in the expression will be converted into integer.
Mhm.
That is called
Oh, that is promotion.
yeah, automatic promotion. In the calculations during the expressions evaluation, all variables within the expression will be promoted to larger data type
Okay, okay.
in the expression. And we have seen different types of operators. So here we stopped in the last session, yesterday session. Now let us continue from here. And this also we covered conditional statements, if conditions, and switch statement. Also we have discussed in the last session, and we have to continue from here. Loops, various loop statements. In Java, we can use different types of loop statements. The first one is while loop. What is the syntax of a while loop? This is the syntax of a while loop. While condition within the brackets and the flower brackets, and within the flower brackets we can write a number of statements. Okay. This is simple while condition. How this while condition will be executed? When this while loop will be running, how many times this loop will be running? As long as the condition is true, the loop will be running. Whenever the condition becomes false, then the loop execution will be stopped. Got it, Govind? Here the while loop,
Mhm.
here based on the condition, this loop will be running. While if the condition is true, the loop will be executed until that condition becomes false. Okay. And similarly, there is another loop statement: do while. Do flower bracket and statements and closing bracket while condition. While condition. So what is the difference? This one, while and do while. This do while condition also, loop also will be running the loop as long as the condition is true. As long as the condition is true, the loop will be running here. Similar to while loop, but one small difference. Let us see with one examples in the Eclipse. Let us try to write one small program and execute that to understand better how that loop works. Okay, now let me create one new class. Just it is a while I'm creating, while add main method. Select this checkbox, click OK. Yeah, this is while loops. For example, I want to display first to 10 even numbers. Display first to 10 even numbers using while loop. How we can write this while? First I have to declare one variable, integer, for example, n equal to starting from 2, while n, and one more variable I am declaring, I equal to 1, I count equal to 1. Do while, what is the condition here? I want to display 10 even numbers. So this I value I less than or equal to 10. System dot out dot print line and n n n equal to n plus 2. Sorry, I count. This variable is I count, and we have to increment that I count value. I count equal to I count plus 1. See here, initially we are assigning n equal to 2 and I count value is 1, and if I count is less than or equal to 10, I want to run this loop. Inside the loop we are printing n value. N is 2 currently, 2 will be printed. After printing n, we are getting next even number, n equal to n plus 2. It will generate, it will assign the next even number to n variable, and we are incrementing I count value by 1. So this statement, this program, if you run it, it will print 10 even numbers. Okay, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 numbers are displayed. All are even numbers. Got it? So like this we can use while loop to repeat or to execute the loop as long as the condition is true. In that scenario, we have to use this while loop. Similarly, we can use do while loop to display same thing. We can use do while also. So I'm printing the next. Okay, if I use do while loop, how to write this do while loop? Do flower bracket, open the bracket, and here you write this same code inside this loop, and here we are writing the condition at the bottom. While, what is the condition? I count less than less than 10. So semicolon should be there here after while condition. Okay. Now I will comment these lines. First while loop. Just comment this. So now this loop also should print same numbers. No, it is printing only up to 18. I think so. Equal to is missing. Now it is printing up to 20. Okay. So if, for example, to understand the difference between while and do while, let us see one small thing. If I change this condition, if a condition I'm changing to 1 or 0, I'm putting 0 condition, I'm changing the condition here to 0. Here also I will make it 0. First I will run this do while loop with this condition. Now let us see what value will be printed. Will it print any value? Excuse me. If I run this loop, it will print 2. Only 2 will be printed.
Yes. Yes.
2 is printed. But if I use same condition in the while loop, what will be printed? In the while loop, if I use same condition in the while loop, here nothing will be printed. See, just look at that. I'm commenting here. Do while and running only while loop with same condition. See, nothing is printed. That means this loop is not running at all. But in do while loop, if I use same condition, whatever the condition we use here in the do while loop, this loop will be running at least once, with irrespective of whether this condition is pass or fail. This loop will be running at least once in the do while loop. But in the while loop, this loop will be running only if this condition is passed at least once. If this condition is failed at the first cycle itself, this loop will never execute it. Will be executed. That's what happening now. See, this condition is now false. What is the I count value? 1. But what is the condition we define here? I count less than or equal to 0. No, I count is not equal to less than or equal to 0 here. So the condition is failed. That's why this loop is not running. But even if I use same condition in the do while loop, what's happening in the do while loop? In the while loop, the condition is checked at the beginning of the loop. But in the do while loop, when condition will be checked? After the execution of the loop. That means at the end of the loop, this condition will be verified. So before checking this condition, these statements will be executed at least once. So that's why the do loop while will be running minimum 1 time, and the while loop will be running minimum 0 times. Got it? Any doubt, Govin?
Sir, hello.
Govin, any doubt here in
Hello.
the while loop?
Sir.
Any doubts in this while loop? How it works?
Yeah, while is okay. Then the do while okay. While is condition is always at the end of the
Yeah, correct.
trend, right?
Yes, in the do while loop, always condition will be verified at the end of the loop. But in the
Mm-hmm.
while loop, the condition will be verified at the beginning of the loop. That is the difference. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that is about while and do while. Now let us see another important loop, for loop. For loop is very important. See, when we use this while loop or do while loop, in which situation we can use this while and do while? If you want to run some group of statements based on some condition, based on some condition, as long as the condition is true, we have to repeat the same statement's execution multiple times. In that scenario, we can use this while or do while loops. That means based
Okay.
on the condition, we want to execute the group of statements multiple times. Got it? In that scenario, we use this while loops. Now let us see what is this for loop. When we use for loop, this for loop will be used to run any group of steps or statements n number of times. If you want to run some group of statements 100 times or 50 times or 10 times like that, if you know how many times you want to run, if you want to run any group of statements n number of times, in that scenario we should use this for loop. See how to use this for loop. See, actually we will be using uh, here we'll be writing some programs using these control statements. Okay, we'll be writing some programs. I will show you that small things. Now let me create a new class for loop. For loop, add main method. Done. Now let me write comment this. I'm commenting everything. Just I will open one by one. I will will go through one line by line. Okay, let's see first this for loop. First for loop. See what this for loop will do. What this for loop will print now. Just look at that. See the for loop syntax first. Let us understand what is the for loop syntax. The for integer x. See here x variable is not already declared here. That's why we are declaring inside the for loop itself. We can declare variable inside the for loop. Anywhere we can declare. Declarations no need to define at the beginning of the program. We can declare any variable at any place. No problem at all. Okay. So here we are declaring x variable inside the for loop itself. So integer, x is integer variable. And what is the starting value? Initial value 10. X is assigned with 10. And this is the initialization. Loop variable x is called here loop variable, and that loop variable is initialized with 10. And the second one, this is called condition, loop condition. What is loop condition? If x less than or equal to 15, if this condition is true, then this loop should run, otherwise that loop should stop. That is a condition. And the last one, it is called incrementer. So our first value is x equal to 10. What is the next x value? So that will be decided based on this incrementer. Now the next x value will become x plus 1. So 11 will be the next value. So that is a incrementer here. So how many times this loop will be running? That means when this condition will become false, when that condition will be failed, how many times this condition will be true, will be passed, how many times this loop will be running, and what values will be displayed. Starting with the 10, we are printing just x up to 15. This loop will be running until this x value exceeds 15, correct? So this for loop will print 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 values. Just run this. See, it is printing 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 values. And see, in this system statement, if you look at that, I am concatenating two values, the value of x colon, and this is one string. Okay. And to this string, I am concatenating another value. What is that value? X value. So the plus is here concatenation character. In VB script, ampersand is the concatenation character, Bala. So here it is plus. So plus is the concatenation. That means we can use this plus character to append any two string values or to any two values. Concatenation. It is a string operator. It is called a string operator. It is used to concatenate any two values or two strings together. Are you clear? Got it to go in here? Any doubt in the for loop?
Yeah. Can you tell the difference while and for loops? Here also, as long as the condition is true, it will work. There also it will work. But only difference is I saw the variables installation is outside of the for loop, while the was given in that while loop. But here is inside the for loop itself we can mention, right, everything. That is the main difference.
No, here we are defining what is the starting and how this value can be incremented. Those things and all we are defining as part of the loop itself, correct? In the while loop, we are declaring or we are initializing the variable outside of the loop. Why it's outside of the while loop, correct? See, the main difference here, in the for loop, we can find it how many number of times this loop will be running. We can find that number of iterations that loop will be running. So we can control, you can control the loop execution how many times you want by using this for loop. But that may not be possible using while loop or do while loop. We can do that also there also, but there we have to write that code outside of the loop, not in within the loop itself.
What is the problem, sir? If you write outside and inside, it will take, right, anyhow. Anyhow, if you write at outside also, variables will be taken, right? So
one second, I'll tell you. See, the main purpose of the while loop, see here in this while loop syntax, do you have any variables or any variable initialization or any incrementer? No. There is no syntax, correct? In the while loop syntax, if you look at that, only condition is there, correct?
Yes.
Understand? That means based on this condition, that loop will be running. That's how that while loop works. Understand? So the condition can be anything you can use. Understand? But when you come here for loop, in the for loop you have three inputs. The first one is initialization. See, there is one loop variable here. See, there is no concept of loop variable in the while loop. There is no variable involved here, correct? Yeah. But in the for loop, there is a concept called loop variable. Yeah.
No, that is okay, sir. Concept I understood, but in the real time, when the for loop will be helpful, when the while loop will be helpful. That is.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. See that the while loop and do while loop should be used when you want to run any group of statements until some condition or based on some condition. I won't repeat multiple times some group of steps. Understand?
Okay.
I have one group of statements. that group of statements I want to execute n multiple times. See, multiple times, but I don't know how many times that is exactly. Understand? That is based on the condition. Based on the condition, I want to run this group of statements multiple times. That is a scenario where you have to use while or do while loop. Understand? But when you should use this for loop, say I want to print 5 values. I want to print 5 values or 6 values. That means I want to run this loop 5 times. How you are defining 5 times? How we can define that this loop should run 5 iterations? That I can define that number of iterations this loop should be executed by using loop variable. Understand? So in the for loop, we can decide that how many times that loop should be executed. And that can be decided or can be defined by using for loop variable. That is the difference. The while and do while loop will be used to execute group of statements based on some condition, and for loop should be used to execute group of statements n number of times, to execute n times. Understand the difference?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, for example, I want to print 10 to 20. That means 10 to 20. That means how many times it should run? 10 times it should run. So here starting value is equal to a loop value equal to 10, and the condition I will change to 20. So now this loop will be running 20 times. For example, I want to print only 5 iterations I want to run within the range of 10 to 20. Then I can increase this incrementer plus 2, x equal to x plus 2. Now it will be running only 5 iterations, 5 times. So now what values it will print now? 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So like that it will print only up to 20, but number of iterations are changing. See, that condition is same here, but by changing this incrementer, now it will print 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Understand? So the main basic thing when we should use for loop in the Java program or while writing our programs to run or to execute a group of statements n times. That is the main important thing. Okay, are you clear? Go in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And now let us see one simple, little more, some small code we'll be writing for, say that. See, we can write for loop like this also. It is one format. Here we are using only one loop variable, okay, x. But in this for loop, I am using here 2 loop variables. We can write for loop statement like this also by using more than one loop variable can be used in the for loop. See here, integer a equal to 1, b equal to 5. I have declared 2 loop variables a and b, and I defined a condition a less than or equal to b and a plus plus and b minus minus. That means a variable will be incremented and b variable will be decreased every time. And I'm printing a and b values. Understand? So now if I run this, say that what values, how many values it will be printing? See, first time a equal to 1, b equal to 5. It is the first iteration. And the second iteration, a equal to 2, b equal to 4. And the third iteration, a equal to 3, b equal to 3. And fourth iteration is not running. Why? Because a is not less than or equal to b now. Correct? See the next iteration, what is the A value? A equal to 4, B equal to 2 will become. So these values will not satisfy this condition. So the fourth iteration will be failed. This condition will be failed in the fourth iteration. So it will stop that loop execution. Understand? So like this, we can use multiple loop variables in the for loop. It is possible. Any doubts? Any question?
Yeah, iterations that incremental iterations and the decremental iterations, right? This is
Yes,
for
yes,
purpose. We can increase the iterations and we can reduce the iterations
yes.
for that purpose, right, sir?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
See, there is another format of loop statement. Okay. See what is that is. So this is another format of loop. See, the variable initialization and incrementer are not mandatory in the for loop. Only condition we can define. Only condition. I have not defined here any loop variable, and any incrementer or decrementer is not defined here inside this for loop. Only condition is defined. Condition is mandatory. Okay. So like this also it will be running. See, now it will print 1 to 4. 1 to 4 values will be printed here. 1 to 4 values. 1, 2, 3, 4 will be printed. Are you clear? Like this also we can write for loop in Java. Okay. Now see that here. This is from here I'm going to start some little programming. See what is this small program using for loop. I want to print numbers in a left triangle shape. A left triangle shape means like this. I want to print. See, left triangle means I want to print numbers like this. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Three. This is called a left triangle. Got it? So in this format, I want to print numbers. Like this, I want to print numbers by using loop for loops. See that logic, how it works. Nested loop. By using nested for loop, we are printing the numbers in left triangle shape. This is what left triangle shape. So here I will be giving number of lines. How many number of lines should be displayed? So suppose if I give 5, one more should be displayed here. One more line should be displayed here. Like that I want to print. See here I have given number of rows 7. That means number of lines. I want to print 7. So in my first for loop, what it will do? How many times this first for loop will be running? How many times it will be running? I rows equal to 7.
7 times.
7 times. Starting from 1 to 7, it will be running. And each time, each first for loop execution, inside this for loop, we are defining another for loop, one more for loop inside first for loop. So within this first iteration of this for loop, again we are defining one more for loop. For what purpose? This for loop will print. What it will print? It prints row. And this for loop prints to print columns inside the row. See, if you look at this left triangle, first we have to analyze that how this left triangle should be created. So if you see that in the first row, how many elements are there? 1. In the second row, 2. In the third row, 3. In fourth row 4. Like that, this left triangle should be generated. In the fifth row 5 values should be printed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. So that is the logic how this left triangle should be generated. So first for loop will be repeated for all the rows. If you want to print to 5 rows, the first for loop will run first time, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. But in each time, when you are running the first for loop, how many elements should be displayed in that row? Only one element should be displayed. In the second loop of the first for loop, second iteration of the first for loop, in the second row, it should print 2 values. In the third row, it should print 3 values. In the fourth row, it should print 4 values. So like that, in each row, we have to print one or more than one values. So to print those values within that current row, we are adding here another for loop inside the first for loop. So this first for loop will be repeated for all the columns within that row. How many columns will be there in the first row? Look at that here, how this logic is defined. Int j equal to 1. That means column number. It is a column number. First column j equal to starting from 1. J less than or equal to I. In the first row, I equal to 1. Or I can give R here to understand better. C, RC I'm using instead of I. Variable name I'm changing. C. So you look at this condition. R plus plus, C plus plus. Okay. It is C less than or equal to R. Now look at this logic. Row equal to 1 first time. Here row equal to 1 first time. R equal to 1. When R equal to 1, how many values should be printed in the first row? Only one value should be printed in the first row. So how that this condition will work for that? Now in the second for loop, C starting value is 1. And what is the condition? C less than or equal to R. What is the C value? 1. What is the R value now? 1. So first time in this for loop C equal to 1 in the second for loop, and this condition will be passed. Now C less than or equal to R. Yes, it is equal. So this condition is passed. So it will print this value. What value it is printing? 1. That means this 1 will be printed. I will remove this. 1 will be printed in the first row. Got it? Then this for loop will be, see inside this for loop, how many statements are there? Inside this for loop? Inside the second for loop, there is only one statement. See here, I am not using here flower brackets for the second for loop. When you are not using any for loop, any flower brackets, then it will assume that only one statement is there within this for loop. So this statement will not be inside this second for loop. This statement is not inside this second for loop. Understand? And all these 3 statements are inside this first for loop, because here we defined a block by using flower brackets. Here we are opening the flower bracket and we are closing here flower bracket for the first for loop. But in the second for loop, we are not using any flower brackets, and just it will assume that only this statement is within this for loop, and this statement does not belongs to this second for loop. Got it? So
how the system now, sir?
How?
Hello? How that the second system print is not related to second for loop? How would you know?
No, not me.
Actually,
See, yeah, by Java program, that it will work like that. The Java compiler will understand it automatically. If you don't define that flower bracket, it will assume that only the next statement belongs to that particular for loop, not more than one statement. Okay. If you want to add more than one statement inside this for loop, we should use for flower brackets. Understand? Suppose I
Okay.
want to add this statement also inside this for loop, then definitely you should give flower brackets here like this.
Okay, okay.
If I don't give for loop flower brackets, then
Only one system print it will take. It
yeah,
will consider only one
yes,
system.
only one statement,
Okay.
only immediate
Okay.
statement,
Oh, okay.
only the immediate statement will be taken into this for loop.
Yeah, okay. Good point. Okay, sir.
Okay, so now
Hmm.
this for loop will print first time 1. Now it will go to again for loop. Now C value will be incremented to 2, correct? To 2. Now this condition will fail because R equal to 1, but C value is currently 2. So this condition will be failed. So this for loop will be stopped. This for loop execution will be stopped it now. When C value becomes 2, this for loop will be stopped. Then the control will come here. So it will print blank space and it will move the control to the next line. See print line, print line. What is the difference? Here I am using print and here I am using print line. See what print will do. The print will print the value in the current row, and still control will remain in the same current row. But if I use print line, what will happen? It will print this value in the current row. After printing the value, it moves the control automatically to the next line. Understand? That is called a print line. There is very small difference between print and print line. The print statement will not move the control to the next line, but print line will move the control to the next line. Understand? So what will happen now? 1 is printed here, control is in the first row. Now after that, what I'm doing in this statement, I'm printing empty value. After printing empty value, what will happen? I'm using here print line statement. So the control will go to next line. So the control will become here now, second line like this. So now the first for loop, first cycle execution is completed now. Now control will go to again this incrementer. So R value will become 2 now. R will be incremented by 1. Now R value is 2. When with R equal to 2, it will run again this for loop. Again in this for loop, first C value will take 1. The C value will be 1. And this condition is passed because R equal to 2 now and currently C equal to 1. So C is less than or equal to R. So the condition is passed. So it will execute this statement. What is the current value? C 1. So that 1 will be printed in the current row. Where is the cursor in the currently? Second row. The cursor is at second row now. So at this position, it will print 1. Sorry, 1. Space. Got it? C plus space. I'm printing C value 1 plus 1 space value I'm printing here. So that is what I have done. 1 space. Now again, the control will go to C. C value will become 2 now. Now this condition is pass or fail. It is pass. So again it will print C value. Where it will print C value? In the current row. So 2 will be printed with along with space. 2 space. Now C value will become 3 incremented. Now this condition fails because C is greater than R. So this condition, this for loop will be stopped. Now the control will go to this statement. It will run this statement. Here what we are doing, print empty value and move the control to the next line. Now again control will go to first for loop. Now R will be incremented to 3. This condition is passed. R value is less than or equal to 7. Yes. So this for loop should continue the execution first for loop. So it will come again second for loop. Again second for loop will begin with 1. We'll start with 1. First initial value is 1. Now see 1 less than or equal to 3, so it will print 1 in the current row, that is third line. Again it will print 2, again it will print 3, correct? After 3, this value will become 4. When it becomes 4, this condition will be failed, so this for loop will come out. Again we'll move the control to the next line, so again it will repeat first for loop. Like this, these two loops will be printing the values like this: 1 space 2 space 3 space 4. Again it will go to next line, again 1 space 2 space 3 space 4 space 5. Like this, it will be repeating, printing the numbers in the shape of left triangle. Let me execute this for loop. Let us see that. See that? I can give here any number of lines. How many lines you want to print? Suppose if I give 5, it will print only 5. 5 lines it will print. Got it? So like this, right? While writing the program, sometimes we have to think logically, and how that what is that required action you can execute, and accordingly you have to write our logic using loop statements or conditional statements in the Java program. So any doubts in this printing left triangle? And I'm giving for you this example, these two. You try to print right triangle with the same logic. I want to print right triangle. Right triangle means it should be printed like this. So the right triangle should be like this. Suppose if you want to print 3 rows, 1, 2, so it should be printed. I will show you that how it will be printed. I already written the logic, but I want you to think and write it. If you cannot, if it is not working, then I will show you this one. I will give you this one, okay? You please try this. These two exercises. Just I will show you execution here to understand how the triangle should be printed. See, this is a right triangle I am printing here. I think so. I should not. Number of rows is required here. Yeah. See here, number of rows I am giving 5. So this code will print same triangle in reverse in the right side triangle shape. Just let me run. Say it like this. The triangle should be printed. For this, you have to think logic, and you have to, by using for loops and condition, if conditions, whatever is required. I want to print the numbers in this shape, in the right triangle shape. Got it, Govind? Bala?
Yes, sir.
So can you try this?
Yes.
Yeah, you try this, and if you cannot get it, then we will see that in the next session. Okay, I will explain you this logic, how it works, how we should have to write the code. If you cannot, first you try this. And one more thing, one more exercise I want you to practice this also. Print numbers in the center triangle shape. Center triangle should be like this. Okay, now let me run everything together. Yeah. See, now this code will print the same numbers in the center triangle shape like this. Let me run all together. See, it is first one is right triangle. This is a center triangle. I want to print numbers in this triangle shape, center triangle shape. For that, you just try to write a logic and code and try to execute that. Really, if you can think this logic, really you are good logically thinking. Okay, you can able to write any kind of program you can write very confidently. If you can write this logic on your own, just think this logic, and if you can write this code, and if you can display these numbers in the right triangle and the center triangle shape, really your logical thinking will be very good, and you can be confidently able to create a script, complex scripts in the real-time project. Because this to print these numbers in this shape, really you have to think something logically. Only then you can arrive this shape. Just I want you guys
Yeah, only one. Okay.
try
So
this.
only one question to
Yeah,
yeah
tell me, go ahead.
to bring to get the space, right, that
Hmm. Hmm.
to get the space, any concatenation should we use?
Yeah, see how I
That
am
should
done.
there be
Yeah, see that how I have done. Just I am printing number plus space.
okay. If you want more than one space, means we can put the
Two
spaces
spaces.
like that, right?
Two spaces. Yes.
Oh, okay.
See, the plus is the concatenation symbol. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, got it
Okay.
now about for loops, how to
Yeah.
use for loops. And really, this is really something. What is that? Logically, you have to think to write this program. It looks like simple, but not that much simple. If you start writing that, then you can understand it. You try yourself. That's why I'm asking you. You try this. These two exercises to print right triangle and to print center triangle. Okay, guys.
Okay, Vara.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
want us to try now or?
yeah, not now. You can try it in the weekdays. Okay, not in now. But don't look into this
Okay.
and then write the code. Okay, first you try yourself and then look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. So that is about for loop, and nested for loops also have seen. Good. And now one more thing, jump statements. Guys, these are all the loop statements we have in Java. There are three loop statements. One is while loop, second one do while loop, third one for loop. Are you clear? So these are the three for loop statements we have in Java, we can use in Java program. Now come here, another type of control statements, jumping statements. So there are some statements called break, continue, and return. These statements are called jump statements in Java. So these statements are used to transfer the control from one part of the program to another part of the program. See, break statement, we already have used this break statement. Where we use this? In the switch statement, we use this, right? And continue.
Yeah.
What is this continue and what is this return? Continue, I will show you now itself. Continue. See, break can be used in any loop, not only in the switch statement. The break statement can be used anywhere. Got it? I will show you an example how to use this break and continue statements inside the for loop or inside the loop statements. Array, I have some. Now I will go to array program. In the array program, okay, there is another simple right example. This one, right to for loops, for loop statements using arrays. Let us say this also, working with arrays using loops. Let me. Already we have defined arrays right here. Yeah, yesterday we created this already. Fine. In yesterday's session we have seen single array, how to work with a single array. See here we can use for loop to print all the elements in the array. We can use a simple for loop here to print all the elements within the array. So instead of writing n number of statements like this, we can use simple for loop. Let me comment this. So this for loop I will uncomment. Okay. See this for loop, what it will do? It will print all the elements starting from 0 to 4. Starting from 0 to 4, it will print all the array element values. Just let me run this. So it is printing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values. Okay. Now similarly, let us see that two-dimensional array, how to declare two-dimensional arrays. Okay. Now see that two-dimensional array, how to define a declare two-dimensional array and two square brackets. For two-dimensional array, you have to declare like this. And then here you are creating the array. The first one is two-dimensional with two size and again two size. 2, 2. That means rows and columns. 2 rows and 2 columns. That is this. See here, you are assigning values to this array, into this two-dimensional array. How I am assigning values? First for loop for first dimension, second for loop for second dimension. So there are 2 loops we have added for each dimension. And inside this, this is the array element we are accessing. Array of k, 0, L, 0, 0, 0. That means if you run this program up to here, in this for loop we are assigning the values into this array, and in this for loop we are printing the values from that array. Got it? Let me run this one. Yeah, just I will run these 2 for loops. See, this is that two-dimensional array, 1, 2, 1, 2. That means 2 rows are there, and in each row there are 2 elements are there. That is called columns. So the first dimension for number of rows. The first dimension is for number of rows. That means number of rows are 2. And second dimension for number of elements in each row. Understand? That is nothing but columns. And now see that here, this program, this small code. Here I defined an array with 3 rows. Here I declared array with 2-dimensional, and then we are creating an array with 3 rows. And the second dimension is not defined here. Size is not defined here. It is empty. Only first dimension is defined. That means you are creating an array with 3 rows. And here I am declaring for each row what is the size. Here I am creating first row with 1 element, and the second row with 2 elements, and the third row with 3 elements. That means we can define different dimensions for each row in the 2-dimensional array. It is possible like this. First we are declaring 2-dimensional array, and after that we are creating an array with 3 rows, and the number of elements or number of columns is empty. Now here we are defining first row with 1 element, and the second row with 2 elements, and third row with 3 elements.
Here we want int 1, 2, 3 means is values. Int 1 means one value will be passing to the first.
Correct. Number of elements. Number of elements.
So int 2 means 2 elements, huh?
Yes, exactly. Got it?
Yesterday we discussed about this multiple dimension, right, sir?
Yeah,
Multiple
not
dimension.
discussed yesterday. Yesterday we discussed only first one dimensional.
Okay.
Okay, here we are assigning the values. So look at that. Array 2 of 0, comma 0. It is first row, first element, 1. It is a first row, second row. 1 means second row, first element. 1, 0 means. And it is second row, second element. And it is third row, first element. And this is third row, second element. And it is third row, third element. Like that we have assigned the values. And now we are printing all the values. Now let me run all two dimensional arrays. See here, this is the one. It is a first row, one element, second row, two elements, third row, three elements. Got it? Save this. Are you clear with the two
Sir, that
dimensional?
int 1, 2.
Mm.
Sir, int 1, 2, that is not understood. What does it mean? Int 1,
No, what?
int 2 means what?
No, what is the statement? New int of 1. What is the statement? It is nothing but an array.
Yeah.
Creating an array. We are creating an array with one element, with one integer element. And that array is assigned to this first row. And now what this statement will do? It creates an array with two integer elements. That means element value will be 0 immediately, empty. With empty value, it creates an element, integer element, integer
For example,
element.
I'm having I'm having the three values 10, 20, 30. Int 2 means 10, 20 will be passing to array 2 of 1. Right, sir? Like
No,
that, huh?
no, Govind.
Is it
See,
like,
no, Govind. See here. Here you are defining an array. Okay, you are declaring array in this
okay.
statement. Understand, na? And in this statement, what we are doing, you are creating an array with three rows. That's what we are doing. What this statement will do?
3.
It creates an array with three rows. Understand? And in each
Yeah.
row, this is the first row, correct? To each row, what you are assigning here to the first row? What is the statement will do? It creates another array with one integer element. That means to this row, you are assigning one integer element array. That means this row is assigned with one array which contains only one element. Now the second
Can
row
you design
is
the box, sir? Can you design the box, sir? Then
yeah,
we
yeah.
can
See that.
array box.
Mm,
It's the first time I'm listening the multiple
yeah.
dimension.
One second.
That's what I'm asking.
We'll open our yesterday's document. Where is that PDF? PPT. Yeah, see that here. See, for example, not a table. Let me take a shape. Okay, see here, this is the one element. Okay, assume that it is one element. Okay, it is one element. Okay, so this is first what we are doing here in this statement. We are creating an array with three rows. So this is the row 1, 2, and 3. Three rows. This is what will be created in this statement. Now in this statement, what we are doing in the first array, in the first row, what we are assigning? We are assigning an array with one element. That means, see here, I am putting So this is the element I am placing here in the first row. There is no more element. So this row contains only one element. Understand?
Okay.
Got it? In the first row, I assigned one array with one element. Now, in the second row, what we are assigning? An array with two elements. So, in the second row, you are creating an array with the two elements. So, these
It
only
means
two elements are assigned here to the second row.
it means two values only, right, sir?
Yes.
Two different values.
Not
Okay.
see, values are not yet assigned. Only space is allocated. Memory space is
Okay.
allocated here.
Here elements in the nothing but values only, right? Elements.
No. Elements are currently empty. There is no value assigned, right?
Okay.
Okay, currently values are not yet assigned. Only elements are created. Empty elements are created. That means
Okay.
memory space is allocated. Just
Yeah. In these two elements, we
Yeah.
can pass only two values.
yes,
That one I'm
yes,
telling.
yes. In these elements, you can assign the values. You can store the values.
Yeah, but one box only one value like that, right?
Yes, exactly. In one element, you can store one value.
Okay.
So here we have assigned an array with three elements. Got it? So
Yes.
this row contains only three elements like this. This is the two-dimensional array now we created. Got it? See, and
Yes.
then we are assigning the values here. See, now we are assigning the values here. What is element? First row, first element. 1 I am assigning. That means here I am assigning 1. Here 1 is assigned, correct? 1.
Yes.
1 is assigned. And here also 1 assigned. And here also 1 assigned. And here 2 is assigned. 2. And it is 2. And it is 3. So like this, I assign the values here. See, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Got it? And using this for loop, we are printing these values. So it should print in the same structure. It will print in the same structure here. See, look at that. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This is what printed. Got it? Clear, Govin?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is about multi-dimensional, two-dimensional arrays and using for loops to print array values in the using for loops. How to read array values using for loops. Okay. Now come to break and continue. 1 second. For break and continue, we have that. I think so. I hope so. I'm using here somewhere continue statement. 1 second. Okay. Otherwise, I will show you new example. No problem. Okay. Let us say that here. How break and loops continues can be used. Let me create a new class. Jump statement. Add main method. Okay. Now let me take a simple for loop. I'm writing simple for loop for integer I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 10, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus, I plus plus. And here, just write here system dot out dot print line I value. Okay, simple thing. Now what I'm doing here, I'm adding one condition. If or 1 second, let me take this one for loop code. I need two loops, not one loop. Let me take this one. Jump statements. Yeah. So what this loop is doing, it is printing a left triangle, right? It will print left triangle now. Integer I rows is equal to some 5 I will give. Suppose here if I give if C equal to R, I'm adding one condition. If C equal to R, then break. I'm adding one break statement here. Now how it will work? What will be printed? What is this, ma? One more bracket is missing. Okay. See now, can you tell me what will be printed here now? If C equal to R, or I can give one more thing, one more condition. If C equal to R minus 1, I'm using this condition. Break I have given. Now let me run. See? See what's happening here? When the C value equal to R minus 1, break statement will be executed. What this break is doing, will be doing, it will stop the current loop statement execution. Where this break is defined inside this second for loop, right? So whenever this break statement is executed, it will stop the current loop statement execution. Current loop execution. So that's what happening. That means it won't run when C equal to R. Actually, if C equal to R, this condition will be true. But inside this loop, what I am doing, I am adding one more condition. If C equal to R minus 1, I want to stop the loop. But when this loop will be stopped as per this condition, if C equal to R, only if C greater than R, only then it will stop. As per this condition, this for loop will be stopped only if C greater than R. But by adding this break statement, what I'm doing, I am stopping this second for loop execution whenever C is equal to R minus 1. I'm stopping that second for loop immediately by using break statement. Got it here?
One question.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Second for loop. In the second. Oh, okay. I saw the curl braces. Okay, flower brackets. Okay.
Yes, yes.
The flower bracket means it will execute all statements, right? Inside that
Yes,
flower
yes,
bracket.
yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now, if I use continue here, see. Suppose here, if I put this break here, if I put this condition before system, and if I use here continue instead of break, what it will do? See a small letter. Yeah, continue. Now let us see how it works. See, some numbers are missing. What numbers are missing? Here 1 is missing, here 2 is missing, here 3 is missing, here 4 is missing. One number is missing. That means how this continue is working. See, when this continue will be executed, whenever C equal to R minus 1. That means if R equal to 2, R minus 1 means 1, correct? Understand? So that number will be missing. if when r equal to 1, what is r minus 1? 0. So this c value will be 1. So this continue will not be executed in the first row. But when r equal to 2, what will happen? What is r minus 1? 1. When c equal to 1, it will be passed. So this continue will be executed. When it is running this continue statement, what is happening? In the second row, 1 is not printed. Look at that here. In the second row, 1 is not printed. That means when c equal to 1, this condition is passed and it executes this continue statement, and it is not running this statement, system statement. Only it executes continue. After the continue, it is not running system.out.println. That's why 1 is not printed in the second row. So instead of running this second statement,
Why, sir?
Yes, Govind.
After continue, why system out is not executed?
Yeah, I'm
It's not
coming to
run?
that point. See why it is not running this system.out.print after this continue statement. Suppose if continue statement is not executed, then this statement will be executed without any issue. But when it is running this statement, what continue will do? The continue statement will stop the current iteration execution. That means it will stop the current cycle of execution. That means it won't run the rest of the statements inside the for loop. After this continue, whatever the statements are available, those statements it won't execute. Instead of running these statements, what continue will do? It will move the control directly to the next cycle. Here it will move. It will skip this statement and directly control will go to next cycle. Understand? That's why whenever continue statement is executed, this statement will not be running, and that's why in every row from the second line, one number is missing. Here 1 is missing, here 2 is missing, here 3 is missing, here 4 is missing. And if you observe that all missing numbers are r minus 1. All missing numbers are equal to r minus 1. Understand? That means whenever that number value is equal to r minus 1, it is running this continuous statement, and so that it is not running the next statement, which is print statement. It is not running this statement, and it is moving the control directly to the next cycle of the for loop. That means what is the difference between break and continue? The break, what it is doing, it is stopping all the cycles of the for loop. That means it will stop the completely for loop execution, break. But continue, what it will stop? It stops the current iteration, not the complete for loop. It will stop the current iteration and it continues the next cycle in the same for loop. Understand the difference between break and continue? Any doubts? Govind?
When the system will be executed, sir, when the system dot out print will execute.
If continue is
Suppose
not
if the
executed,
if condition is failed, then
yeah, whenever if condition is failed, it will come here. If condition is passed, then it executes continue statement, and what continue statement will do? It will move the control directly to the next cycle without running the statement.
okay,
Understand
okay, sir.
the difference between break and continue? Okay, this is a continue. Let me give copy the code for break also. So the break statement, okay, if I give break here, see break I'm using in the first one. Look at that now, how it is working. See the first one, 1, second one is completely missing. Again 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. See something, it is completely missing the triangle. Break statement is returning the values like this. That means it is stopping this for loop. Okay, completely. The break statement will stop that for loop execution. It won't run any cycle. but continuous statement will stop only the current cycle execution and continues the next cycle execution in the loop. That is the difference between break and continue statements. So this break and
So
continue
in the
statements can be used in all loop statements wherever you want. Okay.
yeah.
Yes, Govind.
Sir, in the continue.
Hmm.
If you talk about the continue, actually for first iteration, if it fails, it goes to first iteration, first for loop, right? When it will go to the very first for loop, sir, the after completing the second for loop, then it goes to the first for
Yes,
loop.
exactly. See, here we are starting first for loop execution, right? First time r
Mm-hmm.
equal to 1. So for r equal to 1, it will execute for loop, second for loop. After finishing this
Okay.
second for loop execution, it will run this statement because this statement and this for loop both are inside the first for loop. Understand? After
Yeah.
finishing this for loop, it will execute this statement. Then all statements inside the first loop are executed. Then it will go to again next cycle of the first for loop.
Okay. Like that for continuous, please tell, sir.
No, for continue, right? How it will go? See, whenever you run this break statement, this for loop will be stopped. Then it is coming
Okay.
here. After
Okay.
running this, control will go to first for loop, next cycle.
Okay.
Now, when you
Okay.
come to here, when you are running first for loop, it comes here. And when it comes to
Okay.
continuous statement, what is happening? It is stopping the current cycle of the second for loop and continues the next cycle in the same second for loop. That means
Okay.
the continuous statement will continue the execution of second for loop,
Okay.
but not the current cycle. Next cycle, it will continue the execution.
When it goes means that second cycle till second cycle will be failed, then it goes to first for loop, right?
Yeah, that means second for loop, all cycles are completed. Then it will go to this
Okay.
statement. Then it will go to again first for loop.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, ma. So now here we'll see return statement. Return statement is used inside methods to return the control from any method. We use this return statement. We will see this later at the time of discussing about methods. Okay. And this we already have seen one dimensional, two dimensional arrays. Now let us come to the main concept, class. What is a class in Java? Class is a nothing but it is a set of operations and attributes. Class defines some set of methods or operations and variables or attributes. That means we can say that class is nothing but it is a set of methods or operations and attributes. And operations will be defined as methods and attributes will be defined as variables inside the class. That means the class is a simply it defines operations and attributes. Operations means behavior, attributes means properties. Understand? Just it defines the behavior and properties of object. But class is not an object, real object. The class defines just behavior and properties or attributes of an object. But it is not a real thing. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist any object here in the class. Class defines a template. It defines a template for object. That means how that object behaves and what properties that object has. Those things are defined inside the class. But class is not an object. Understand? And what is the object means? An object is an instance of class. That means an object which is having or which behaves in the same manner what is defined in the class, and the object which is having the same attributes which are defined in the class, then that object is said to belongs to that class. Then we can say that that object belongs to that particular class. Understand? That is called an instance of class. Object is called an instance of class. The difference between class and object. The class defines a set of operations and attributes. Operations are defined as methods. Attributes are defined as variables in the class. And class is not an object. And what is the object? Object is an instance of class. Are you clear? See, for example, how we can explain in the real time, in the real time scenarios. So, for example, I have suppose, let me take some example. Shape. Okay, I have some shape is my one class. Shape is a class. What you say, what you call a shape? Shape means anything which is closed area is called shape. For example, I'm defining shape like this. The shape is nothing but a closed area. A closed region is a shape. And this shape may have some attributes and operations. We can write to apply, we can perform some operations on that shape, and we can see some attributes for that shape. So for example, here I'm defining attributes, and here I'm defining methods. So for shape methods, I'm defining here insert length, okay, height. These are all the attributes. And operations, here I'm defining area, volume. Okay, these are all two are operations. That means get area, get volume. These are the methods I define. Are you clear? Shape is a class which contains the following methods and variables and methods. See what length denotes the length of the shape. The height denotes the height of the shape. And what this get area method will do? It will get the area of the shape. The get volume method will return the volume of the shape. It calculates shape volume. Understand? See now, this shape is not a real object here. Now from this shape class, it is a shape class. From this shape class, I can create one object. It is a shape class. Okay, now from the shape class, I can create one object. That object is square. Square is an object. This square object has two attributes. Any square can have two attributes. What are those attributes? Length and height. Correct, right? The square can have these two attributes. And for this square, you can calculate area and volume. Understand? So here square is an object, shape is a class. See, for this shape, there is no physical existence. That means the class doesn't exist physically. But square, it may exist. It may exist physically. So it may have some measurements. The square may have some measurements, a particular length and particular height, and it may occupy some region. So that region may have some area and some volume, those things. So this object, it is a square object. It is a square object. So this square object belongs to shape class because this square object may possess same attributes and same operations. So automatically this object belongs to this shape. Or we can say that this square object is created from this shape class. Understand now the relation between class and object. Got it, Govin? The concept of class and shape.
Yeah, why the object came for the class means we can instead of using the class, we can use the object anywhere. For that purpose, we are using the object came from class. So for what purpose?
Yeah, I will
Sir?
come to that point. See, first of all, using this shape class, we can create n number of objects, not only one object. Understand? I can create n number of objects, and through this object, I can execute this action: get area, get volume. Understand? We can execute.
Variables.
Yeah, we can read these variable values. How you can read these variable values and how you can execute methods inside the class? Through objects. Understand? You cannot directly execute methods in the class without creating object. Understand? First we have to create an object, and through this object you can access these methods. And through this object you can access all attributes defined in the class.
Okay, sir.
Are you clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now come. Okay, now let us see one simple class. We already created a class because all our Java programs are class. We already created a simple class, but let me create a class using the shape and box. Let me create one new class. The class name is shape. Okay, I'm creating shape. Define here. I'm not defining a main method. Look at that here. Or I can define here, one second, square. I'm getting square public add main method. So I'm creating a square class. Are you clear? And inside this square class is defined as a public class, and inside that we have main method. And now I'm going to define one more class in separate file. Let me define class shape class, and no main method here. I don't want main method. See, shape class is defined, and here you can define variables and methods. So now I'm defining two variables, integer or long length, and long height. Two variables I declared, and I'm going to define here two methods. What is the first method? Private. It returns long value. Long sub. Sorry, what is that method name?
Area.
Get area. Yeah, get area. square brackets, sorry, flower brackets, flower brackets. One second, I'm writing small something wrong. Public static void. Okay, what is this, ma? Shape class, right? Yeah, get area. See here, what is this long we are defining here? Return value, return type. This method returns this long type value. Understand? And if you look at that main method, so far what we used, this is the method we have seen, main method. The main method return type is void. Void means the main method doesn't return any value. It won't return any value. That is called void. Okay. And static, we'll discuss about the static. What is a static later? And public, what is public? This is called modifier, access modifier, public. That means this method can be accessed from anywhere. Public method. Okay, void means it won't return any value. Static, we'll discuss this. What is a static means? Now come here. So now private. Private means this method should be accessible only within this class. This method cannot be accessed outside of this class. It's not possible. This method can be executed or can be called only within this shape class. That is called private. Understand? And long is nothing but the return value, return type, return data type of this method. Now, how to calculate the area of the triangle? So define here long area equal to length into height. So here I am declaring public. I am declaring here public. All are public. Length in height. Yes, done. And now return that area. See what I'm doing? I'm calculating here area and I return that value. I'm returning that value back. Are you clear? So return statement, like this we use return statements inside the methods. To return the value from any method, we use return statement in Java. Okay?
So why things mentioned the long, this ARE, before ARE also already mentioned, you already mentioned long, right? Public long, that is return type value.
Yeah.
Again you are before ARE also again you mentioned the long.
Every variable, every variable in a Java program should be declared. Every variable. See, ARE is a new variable, right? So if I remove this, it will throw error because it is not declared, correct? It should be declared. Every variable should be declared in Java. So what type of
instead of long? Suppose instead of long, if you put int, that actual return type is long, but here I am putting int means what it will throw?
It will throw error. It will throw error.
Same long.
Yeah, only same type data type should be written.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will throw error.
Okay.
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 So similarly, define volume, get volume method. Define one more method. Get volume method. What is the volume formula? Square form volume. I also don't know. I forget. Wait, ma.
Length means that also length into breadth into height, sir.
Yeah, volume. Length into breadth into height, right? So here length and height both are same. So I think so we have to add one more time. Multiply this one, correct?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a volume, and written that,
Written here, what it will give, sir? Written here means it will return the value.
yeah, the value of that
Out.
variable,
Okay.
the value of that variable will be written.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a, see here we define a class, understand? Now save this class. See, now I can use this class in other classes. See, I will create an object in other class. See how I will be using this class in another class. See, here I created square class, right? So here we defined shape class. Inside the shape class we defined two variables. These variables are called instance variables. The variables defined are defined inside the class, not inside the method. That is important. See, this method, this variable ARER and this variable VOL volume, these two variables are not instance variables. This variable is called local variable. Which variable is local? Volume and area. These two variables are local variables, because this variable is defined inside the block, inside within the flower brackets. Understand? See, inside this method, this variable is defined. So this variable will be available, would be available only within this method. This variable cannot be accessed or cannot be used outside of this method. So that's why it is called local variable. In the same way, volume also. The volume variable is defined inside getVolume method, and it can be used only within this method. It is called local variable. But when you come here, length and height, these variables are declared or defined outside of all the methods, but inside the class. Inside the class. So these variables can be accessed in all the methods within this class. So that's why we are using here length and height in both the methods. We are able to use length and height variables in both the methods. Understand? So these variables which are defined inside the class but outside of all the methods are called instance variables. Understand? And these two are methods. These two are instance variables. Why it is called instance variables? I will come to you. I will come to that point. Now come to here square class, where we created one square class with one main method. Inside this main
So
method,
we can call that instance variable as the object, right?
yeah, now see what I'm going to do. Inside this
Okay.
square class, I'm going to create object, shape object, square object from shape class. From shape class. See that? How to create that? Shape shape square equal to new shape see what is the statement is doing here. I'm creating a variable, object variable. I'm creating an object called sqr. This is object. Sqr is an object. What type of object it is? Shape object. Are you clear? This is the data type. What type of data variable it is? It is a shape class variable. That means shape class object. So this new statement, what it will do? It creates a new shape object, and that object will be assigned to this sqr variable. So the sqr variable becomes a shape object now. That means this sqr variable is assigned with a shape object. Are you clear? Now say that. Now I can access inside shape class. We define two variables, right? SQR dot, look at that, height and length. Height and length. These are the two variables we defined inside the shape class here. See, these two variables are defined as public. That means these variables can be accessible from anywhere from this shape object. So that is what I'm doing. I am creating here shape object and assign to square variable, and using this square variable I'm going to assign length of that shape now. Length of the shape equal to 10. Okay, and similarly SQR dot height equal to some okay 10. Both are same. Now I will print there. See that I'm getting area, long square area. Okay, I'm getting square area SA equal to SQR dot get area. See that method is accessible here, get area. And similarly I'm getting volume, square volume, SQR dot get volume. Are you clear? Now print those values. System dot out dot print square area. What is the square area? Plus SA. And similarly square volume, print that value, SV. Clear now? How we define the class and how we are creating the object for that class, and how to access the class instance variables and the class methods. See now, when I run this statement, what will happen? When you run this statement, 10 is assigned to length variable inside the shape class. See, that means whenever you create a new object for that shape class, automatically these variables, length and height variables, will be created for that particular new object. Suppose if I create one more object with the same for the same shape class, another set of variables, length and height, will be created for second object also. That means these variables will be created for every instance of an object that we are creating. That's why these variables are called instance variables. That means for every instance of an object that we are creating from this class, for every object, these variables will be created. New copy of the variable set will be created. Suppose if I create 5 different objects from this class, so for every object, length and height variables will be created. So object 1 can assign with one length, object 2 can be assigned with a different length. Like that you can assign different length, different heights to different objects. Understand? So that is the reason these variables are called instance variables, because these variables will be created for every instance of object. So now by running these two statements, length is assigned 10, for this square object, and height is assigned as 10 for this square object. And by using this length and height of this square object, we are calculating here area by calling this method, get area method. So when you call this method, the control will go automatically into this method, get area method. Understand? And what is the length value we assigned? See, here there is one challenge. See, for example, see here we have to understand one very good topic. Fine, let me first execute that, then I will explain you that what is that. And when you call get value method from this square object, for this square object we have assigned length as 10, 10, correct? So using these values, it will calculate volume and area. Understand? So here run this simple program. See, it is printing square area is 100 square volume is 1000. And now let me create one more class, a rectangle class.
That new is a keyword, sir.
Hmm?
New is the keyword.
Yeah.
New is keyword.
New is a command, a keyword, by Java command, okay, keyword.
It's a mandatory, right? It's a mandatory.
Yeah, to create an object, new is a mandatory. See now
Okay.
here I'm going to create rectangle object from shape class. In the previous square program, we created a square object from shape class. Now I'm going to create the rectangle object from shape class. So I'm going to create again shape, declare the type rectangular is a variable name equal to new shape. Okay. Now assign the length and height. Sorry, rectangle dot length. See again, for this rectangular variable, length and height variables are available. Equal to some 20 rectangle dot height equal to some 30. Okay. Now print system dot out dot print line rectangle area plus a rectangle dot get area. Are you clear? I'm calling the get area method. This method returns area of the rectangle automatically. So here I'm calling get volume method. Clear now? See here with the shape object, with the shape class, I created two objects. One is a square. In the square, I have assigned length value as 10. In the rectangle, we assigned length as 20. Understand? Understand? So when I call this get area method from a rectangular object, it will be using this length and this height. Understand? And similarly, when you call get area method from square object, it will be using this length and this height. Understand? The method is same, but depends upon the from which object you are calling that method, it will be taking that corresponding respective object variable values. If you are calling this get area method from rectangular object, it will use rectangular length and height. If you are calling this get area method from a square object, it will use square object length and height to calculate the area. Understand that one? That means,
But both are look same, right, sir? Both are looking same.
see, method
The
is same. See here, the method is same, but this length
Okay.
and height variable values will be changing depends upon the object, which object it is calling that method. Understand? Okay, now let me run this rectangle. So it is calculating 20 into 30, 40 into 400 into 30, 12,000, like that. Are you clear now? Understand this concept? Class and creation of objects and instance variables. You can see that these instance variables are created for every object. We created now two objects, rectangle and square, and both the objects having length and height variables, separate variables. The square length is different, rectangular length is different. Understand? Got it?
So the difference I found, I saw the difference is a get area method you are calling in here in the system print in the rectangle method. In the square you are calling separately, right? So you
Yeah,
have
both are
mentioned
same, right?
that is the difference, right? Oh, okay.
No, that is not the difference. We are simply in the square method, simply I called it and I assigned to some variable, and that variable I am using in the system print statement. Instead
Okay.
of assigning this variable directly, I am writing this statement here. Both are same.
Okay. Okay.
Without using this
That is
variable, Directly,
Yeah, for that only you have used that rectangular, right? Rectangular method.
hey, no,
But to
no,
show the difference,
no, not this difference. I don't want to show this difference. What I want to show
okay.
the difference is from the same shape class, we created two objects, two different objects. One is a square object, correct?
Yes.
And to this square object, we assigned 10, 10 as a length and height. And again, similarly, from the same shape class, we created rectangle object. And to this rectangle object, we assigned length as 20, height as 30. Understand?
Okay.
Now, the point what you should understand here, in the square, from square object also we are calling get area method, correct? Square dot get area. That means you are calling this get area method from square object. And similarly, here you are calling get area method from rectangular object. This object is different. So how,
Okay.
while running this get area statement, that means while running this method, get area method, how Java will take length and height values, which value it will take. For example, here I assigned some value by default, length equal to C5. Understand my point here? Length equal to 5, height equal to 5. Understand now? See now, understand, see. Inside the shape class, I defined length as 5. Inside the square object, I defined length as 10. Inside rectangular object, I defined length as 20. And now we are calling this get area method from square object. Now, what is the value it will take for this length and height variables? What value it will take now?
The inside get method, first preference it will give to the inside get method. Inside that class.
That's
Inside
what.
that class,
What is that value?
method?
What is that value?
Yeah, the 1020, sir. The 1020.
Yeah, that means not the class. It will take the value from its object. Understand? That means whatever the object, which object is calling this method. So from that object, it will take the value. Understand? Not this
Okay.
5 or this 5 or not some other object values. It will take the value from the corresponding object. Understand?
Okay.
Dynamically. See, if you suppose current call statement, you are running this get area method from rectangular object. So then it will take values from rectangular object. And if you are running this method from square object, it will take the value from square object. That means depends upon the object which is calling this method, it will take the values from that corresponding object dynamically. Understand? So this feature, it is called dynamic dispatch method in Java. Understand the concept?
Yeah, when this 5 will be taken, sir? When this, if we don't create any object, that 5 will be taken. 5 public.
If you don't assign any value, for example, inside inside a square, inside square, I don't assign any value here. It is square only.
Oh, okay.
See, I don't assign any value. Then it will take.
Okay.
Let me check it.
Then it will.
No, 1 second. Let me check this. Yeah, it is taking 5, 5. See that?
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
But if you assign some value inside this object, the priority will be given to these values.
Okay.
But Vara, the square is also a class, and the initial class which has this function methods are also a class, right? So how do you differentiate between object and class?
Repeat your doubt, Bala, one more time.
Yeah, actually the square which we are seeing right now is a class, right?
Correct.
And also the class where we have this own code of get area and get volume is also a class.
Yeah, shape
But
is a class.
shape is a class. So
Correct.
how
Correct.
do we differentiate between object and class? Because now you are saying that from here that object is accessed, right?
Mm. No, I will tell you how you have to understand this. I define this
Okay.
square class for what purpose? To calculate square area and square volume. Okay.
Okay.
To
Okay.
execute that or to calculate a square shape area and volume, I define this class. Inside this class, what I'm doing, I'm defined here main method because I want to run this square program, square class. That's why I define here main method. And inside main method, what I'm doing, I'm creating, that means I'm creating one object instance object variable of shape class. Understand? Because
Okay.
area and volume methods and length and height variables are defined already in another class, that is a shape class. So I
Yeah.
no need to redefine volume method and area method again in this square class because
Yeah.
these methods are already defined in shape class. So what I'm doing here, how I'm using those methods in this square class, just by creating shape object. I'm creating here an object of shape class, and through this object I'm accessing get area and get volume methods. See, the confusion why you get this one is very simple. I can define same class inside the shape inside the shape itself. Here itself we can define that here like this, but it
Yeah.
should
Yeah. I
be
understand that.
private. Got it?
Okay.
And there should not be any yeah, sorry, it should not be like this. Actually, it should be shape should be private class, it should be public class, or in reverse vice versa we can do. One second, how we can do this, right? Without defining a separate class, I can define this public class inside the square itself as a private class. This can be defined as a private class. See, now I can remove this shape file separately. Understand? Because it is already defined here. That's why it is throwing error, I guess. Remove this. Okay, default class I'm giving. Default public. It won't take public. Protected it will take, I guess. Okay. Shape. See,
Okay.
now this is the class. For this class, I'm creating a shape here. Object here. Understand? And from this object, we are calling these methods and we are accessing these variables. But instead of defining, because this is a common shape, a common class, which I want to use across different objects for different objects or in different classes. That's why I define it as a separate file, separate Java file in as a shape.java. So from this shape class, I can create different objects wherever I want, like this. Just this is the main thing. You no need to worry about this. What is this classes? Why we create separate class for square and why we create separate class for rectangular? Not required. We can define all in one class or in one file. We can create a rectangle, shape, and square, everything in one single file. That's not the matter. Okay.
But we have to remove that public, right, sir? For the main
Yeah,
class.
yeah. When you add multiple classes, we have to remove the public. For
For
only
the
one,
main class.
yeah, for only one class, we should define the public. Got it? Are you clear, Bala?
Yeah. Vara.
Okay.
So we can communicate between classes using this object method, right?
You can.
We can communicate between two different classes through objects.
Yes,
That's right.
exactly. Yes, exactly. Any class, if you can access any class methods or any class variables only through objects,
Okay.
except static variables and static methods.
Fine.
Except static variables and static methods, all other variables and methods can be accessed only through objects.
Okay, Vara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That example will come later,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
sir?
yeah. We'll come that one point. Okay. So the method, how
Yeah,
we did.
you declared, sir. You declared that object is under the void method, right? That is the process, sir. Is it
What
void
object?
method only?
Main
Under
method.
under main only you have declared that object, right? That
Yeah, yeah.
class object. That is the process. Is it process that?
Not like that. See, suppose I can create one more method here, my own method. Understand? Public uh, display void, public void display area. Got it? This is one method I'm defining. See, now I will call here. I will define these two statements here. Got it? See here, square. See, sqr is defined inside the main method. Got it?
Yeah, that one I'm
But
asking.
it is not accessible inside display area because see, it is throwing error. Why? Because this square variable is defined inside the main method. So it becomes a local variable. So it cannot be accessed in this method. But you want to access this method as a global variable. So it should be declared outside of this method. Got it? Here you have to declare this like this. See, now it can be accessed here. What is the problem? To static. Okay. Share static we have to declare like this.
One more static already is there.
Where is that?
Public static void.
No, not that one. One second, one second. Yeah, like this we have to declare. Static should become first. See why here
What
static
is
should
the
be declared, Main is a static method. Understand? By default, main always should be defined as a static method. So all the variables and methods which we are calling inside this static method should be static. That is a rule. If any method is defined as a static, in that method we can access only static variables and static methods. Understand? So that's why square is a variable we are using inside this main method. So this variable also should be declared as a static. If I remove this static, it will throw error. See that? But if I add here static, error is gone. Understand? And similarly, I'm defining this method. I want to call this method inside the main method. So this method also should be declared as a static. Only then you can call this method inside the main method because the main method is by default static. Understand the point here? So I will comment these two lines, see that. And here I'm going to call that method display area. See, if I remove this static, it will throw error. Look at that. See, it is throwing error. But if I add static, it will go on. Understand
if we
static?
add
Yeah.
we add static, we can access that method in the inside the main class, sir.
Yes, yes. Main method, not class.
Yeah, main method.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll discuss about static. I will explain you in detail, more detail, what is that static is. But this is one simple rule. Any method is defined as a static. It can access only static variables and static methods inside that method, inside the static method. Inside static method, we can access only static variables and static methods. Non-static variables and methods cannot be used inside a static method. That is a rule. Okay.
But object creation is under main method only always, right?
We can use anywhere. It's not a rule. The object should be created only inside the main method. We can.
Yeah, you created outside of the right, so above that main method also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any doubts, Bala and Gavin? Shall we go?
So far, no, sir.
Okay.
After practicing only we will get the some doubts.
Yeah,
No,
that is,
Ram.
yeah, that is very important. So just simply listening is not right. It won't give you confident like right to claim a experience in the tool.
Yes.
You have to practice that. You have to practice it, and then only you will be right getting the real working knowledge. Hmm? Okay. Now inside the class we can define a constructor. We can define a constructor. We can define a constructor. What is a constructor? Constructor is nothing but it is a method defined in the class with the name of the class. The constructor name should be same as class name. If the method name is a class name, then it is called constructor. When this constructor method will be executed, at the time of creating an object, automatically this constructor method will be executed. For example, let's take the same thing, same example, shape class. Inside the shape class, now here here we declared two variables by default, right? I will remove here. I will remove it here. See what I'm doing. I'm going to define one more constructor here, shape, with the two variables, integer L, integer H. I'm declaring two variables. And inside this, it is a shape. See, the class name and method name both are same. So it is a constructor for this class. And for the constructor method, you should not define any return type like long or void. That should not be defined to constructor method. Okay. Now inside this constructor method, what I'm doing, I'm assigning LE length equal to L and HI equal to H. See, I'm assigning L value to length, H value to height variables inside the constructor. Are you clear? I defined one simple small constructor method for shape class with the two inputs, with the two arguments, L and H. Now, how this constructor method will be executed? Let us see that. Go to square. See, now it is throwing error because to this statement you have to pass two inputs here. Since in the shape constructor we define two inputs, so at the time of creating object for this shape class, you should pass these two inputs, because at the time of creating object for this shape class, this method automatically will be executed. At the time of creating an object for the shape class, this constructor method will be automatically executed. So for this method, we need two inputs. So those two inputs should be passed inside this new statement here. So I am passing here directly values 10, 10. So these two statements are not required now. I will comment it. These two statements are not required now. See, this statement, what it will do? When you run this statement, automatically it will execute this method. What method? Shape method. Inside this method, L is equal to 10, H is equal to 10. That we passed it. So 10 is assigned to length. This 10 is assigned to height automatically. So now automatically it will calculate area, display area as 10 into 10. See, let us see that now. That is what is that? In rectangular. Okay, here also we have to pass same way 20, 30 and comment these two lines. Save it. Now run this square. See, 10, 10 is taken automatically. That means these values are automatically assigned to length and height variables inside the constructor. That means that constructor method is executed automatically at the time of creating an object. Understand? Are you clear? Okay, similarly rectangular. See here, 20, 30 we are passing. Just run this. See, it is calculating 20, 30 values automatically. These two values are assigned automatically to length and height inside the constructor. See, we can define multiple constructors in for one class. See, now I'm going to define one more constructor for the same class. With one argument, that is called R, integer R. And here I define one more variable, public long radius. So here I am passing rad equal to R. Done. That means this constructor I want to use for circle object creation. If I want to create a circle object, then I want to use this. So like that, we can write define multiple objects. And suppose let me take it as not a circle, a triangle for example. I have a triangle, a length, integer. There will be three sides, right? Side 1, side 2, side 3. Side 1, side 2, and side 3. These are the things. So here I have one more thing. Let us say something breadth or something. I am assigning those values here. So like this, we can define multiple constructor also. So when you create an object with three inputs, that means in this creation object, in the new statement, if I pass three inputs, then automatically it will execute this method. If I pass two inputs, it will execute this method. So this is called overloading. Method overloading. Here constructor overloading. It is called constructor overloading. That means defining multiple constructor methods with a different number of parameters or with different type of parameters. That is called constructor overloading. Got it now? Understand it, Bala and Govin? Any questions you have?
Sir, you are passing two values means where it will go, sir. There are two constructors.
Yeah.
Which constructor it will go?
See,
first or second?
The first constructor has two inputs, correct? Two parameters. The second constructor has three parameters, right?
Yes.
So at the time of creating object for that class, if you pass two inputs, it will use first two constructor with the two parameters. Okay. If you pass three inputs, it will go with second constructor with the three parameters.
What is overloading, sir, here concept?
Overloading means you are defining same method multiple times, right? With the different inputs, with the different parameters, or with the different number of parameters, or with the different types of parameters. You are defining multiple methods with the same name. See, for example, get area. Inside the shape, I will define one more method. One more get area method I will define. Understand? So here, if I pass some input, here there is no input here, correct? Here, if I pass one input, then this method will become another method, different method. This method is different, this method will become different. If I add here one input parameter, this method having no parameters, this method has one parameter. There is a difference, right? But maybe both methods may do same action or slightly different action. Depends upon the number of inputs that we are passing to that method. Understand? Okay, this we will discuss in detail again in the next session, overloading concept also. This is
That is
called
correct, sir. It's pretty
this is called constructor overloading. Okay, method overloading we will see that both are same concepts. That means how to define multiple methods with the same name with the different inputs. That we'll see. Okay,
okay, sir.
yeah. So that's it, ma. Let me once again review once again what we discussed in today's session. From where we started. We started from here. Loop statements. Correct? Yeah. In the loop statements, we have seen while loop, do while loop, and for loop. Different formats of for loop we have seen, and we have seen some programming. But I ask you to write two programs, right? Please write two programs. Those two programs to display numbers in triangle shape, right triangle and the center triangle shapes. And one more thing, I am giving one more. Display center triangle using continue. Using continue and without using continue. Got it, Bala and Govind?
Yes, sir.
Display center triangle
Yes, sir.
number shape with nested for loops without using continue and with using continue statement. How to do that? Just try that way. See, slightly we have to modify. First try without using continue. Once you get it, then try to add continue statement in that logic. Then we have to do small changes. Okay, that is one thing.
Okay.
And arrays. We have seen two-dimensional array, how to create two-dimensional arrays and how to read data from arrays using for loop. And we discussed what is the class and what is instance variable and what is a method. What is a method we have seen, and what is a constructor, how to declare, how to define constructor, and how to create object. We have seen that also, how to create object and how to call class methods. Okay, so that's it for today, and I have uploaded last session's video in the website, Govind. You can go to that once again, and also I will upload this video also. And
How
also
to download it,
yeah.
sir?
Mm.
How to download into our local, we need any software, sir, to do that one?
Yeah, you can
Since,
use some
for
other
the-
software to the video downloaders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
Since
also
for
right,
that also,
yeah, and also just right, we're planned on weekdays also sometimes, right? If it is possible to me, mostly it may not be possible, but if it is possible, I will send invite and I may call you. If you are also available, we can have sessions at weekdays also, if possible. I will try my best. Okay.
Okay.
yeah, the evening time, sir. Evening time, just after 7. Is it okay, sir?
Not after 7, not only after 9. If I reach home by 9 o'clock, okay, then
Okay,
definitely.
both are same, sir. After 7 or after 9 also both are same.
Yeah, fine, no problem. That's a no. For me, 7 o'clock and all not possible at all. Only after
Okay.
9. If I reach home
Okay.
at 9 o'clock, definitely on the day I will send invite and I will call you. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay, Bala and Govind, are you able to follow?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, ma. If you have any doubts, just stop me and we'll discuss in detail. No, bro. No hurry.
Yes, sir.
Hmm?
Sir, 2
And
hours is okay, sir. I think. So 3 hours means being since
overloaded, huh?
yes.
Okay.
Programming, right? Sir?
No. We'll do one
Today-
thing. We'll take right 10 minutes break in between. Okay, so that it will be good. Huh? If you,
Yeah.
it will be better. For me also,
Yes,
it is
sir.
required.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Govind and Bala. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, sir.